Hi everyone, this is Stacy and I'm with Zheng again for today's live streaming. Zheng, one of my previous students, he saw the live streaming of us, and then afterwards he asked me one question, or I should say it's a compliment for you, because he said, 老师, how come this boy, this such a young boy has this light in his eyes when he talks about learning and when he talks about going to school? So, Zheng, I would like you to talk about what you like most about your school life and how you yourself define learning.
I think what makes me really look forward to kind of the day-to-day grind of school is just I'm super lucky to be surrounded by people. I have friends that are as inclined and like ready to learn as me, and so every day is definitely not very easy. It's very stressful at times. There are a lot of difficulties, and sometimes I don't like school so much. But I think what makes it really sweet is kind of there's going to be hard days at school, but there's after you kind of make that breakthrough, you understand that concept that really kind of gives me a sense of achievement, and I think that achievement carries on and makes me want more.
And I have to say that grind, the word that you use is a good one. 对 Let me explain that to my students. 我觉得刚刚郑颖用了一个非常非常棒的形容学校生活的字，叫做 grind。也就是说，它其实不见得是一个完全愉快的过程，对，一定也是会有一些不开心的时候，甚至有的时候你也是会觉得厌世，也会觉得沮丧。但I mean, in the end, it's still about something that you're interested in and something that you have passion for. That's definitely what keeps you going. That probably urges you not to give up that easily. So that definitely leads us to the topic that we're going to talk about today with Zheng Ying. It's time management. I would say that Zheng Ying is a master of time management, and my students can definitely learn something from you today. So Zheng Ying, let's start. All right. Because you mentioned some points, like you talk about goal setting, like you have to have some larger goals, but at the same time, on a daily basis, you need to have smaller goals to achieve every day. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so whenever I have kind of a huge goal that's kind of just seemingly impossible to reach, I like to break that down into smaller chunks, like weekly goals, and that kind of just that every single week gives me the confidence to kind of build up a big goal. So a quote that I really like is small daily improvements leads to daily success.
That's a really good one. I like it.
So I got that quote from a YouTube video about like actually Apple, like the company that owns their mentality. So year by year, iPhones don't actually change that much. But if you look at 4 or 5 years, they make huge improvements.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I look at my bigger goals. Yeah.
刚刚郑颖用了一个我觉得很好的譬喻，大家应该也会懂。比如说，其实有很多人，就算没有使用 iPhone 的手机，也是有看过 iPhone 的手机。如果你看的是每年的 iPhone 手机新款在发表会的时候，你会觉得那些改变好像没有很明显。可是如果你隔个4、5年再去看iPhone 的手机，5年前、5年后的那个改变其实是非常巨大的。所以郑颖说，实际上对他来说，其中一个座右铭是你其实是透过一些持续不断的看似微小的改变，最后其实能够完成很大的目标跟使命。这样 I think that's a very good quote, and it's definitely something that my students can think about. Yeah. Like when you're preparing for your SAT last year, right? Because I heard that because of the pandemic, several of the SATs were canceled. So you only have, I mean, you had fewer options than the previous students. Did that affect your mentality, or you in general?
So the funny thing is, the first time I was gonna take it was I believe March of 2020. But that one was it was the week where everything got canceled. So my first SAT was actually canceled.
Oh.
Yeah.
My students can definitely relate to you because their big test Originally, it's supposed to be held at the beginning of July, but then yesterday it was postponed to the end of July. Yeah. Oh, so your first
Yeah,
SAT got canceled last year.
yeah.
Oh,
So I
okay.
definitely feel for the students in Taiwan right now.
Uh-huh.
Um, it was kind of like it was pretty difficult
Uh-huh.
because obviously I have been working for it for a good amount of time,
Uh-huh.
and I really wanted to take the test and get it over with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was canceled, so I kind of just tried to look at it positively
Mm.
and kind of think, oh, now I have more time to kind of work on the stuff, like work on my mistakes. So yeah, I took it um, three more times
Uh-huh.
once in August, November, and then December. My last time
Uh-huh.
was when I did the best. So that was pretty
Oh.
funny.
Oh, I
I did
see.
the best on my last one. Yeah.
哦，一定要跟大家说一下，就是郑颖完全懂大家昨天被突然宣布，职考要延后将近1个月的心情，因为他说，他其实自己去年3月的时候应该要考第一次的 SAT，也就是美国的大学入学考试，然后结果没想到因为疫情的关系，然后结果郑颖的第一次 SAT 也被延后了，延后到了8月，所以郑颖说他当然那个时候也经过了一些调试、一些冲击，但我觉得刚刚郑颖说了一个我觉得很值得大家参考的，就是他说你要想成说，哎，这样子我有机会再去审视一下我之前没有念好的部分，或是我犯的错。That's definitely a very good way to look at this seemingly catastrophic announcement happening. Oh,
There's a quote. There's a quote here that's when life gives you lemons, you want to make lemonade. So that's how this entire past year has been for me, and I'm sure a lot of other students.
yeah，哦，这个一定要 Let me share this. This is a really important message to my students. 对，一定要跟职考的大家说，我觉得郑颖说的那句我非常认同，很值得用来形容这种动荡的时代。他说，英语里面说的，当人生给你柠檬的时候，你要拿来榨成汁，也就是说你应该要能够吃苦当吃补，然后化危机为转机，这样。It's definitely easier said than done, but it's worth doing, worth giving a try. Yeah. Oh, and Zheng, you talk about some techniques in your presentation, right? Like the first one, I really like the first one. You maybe I want you to talk more about it, the Pomodoro technique, right?
Yeah. So the Pomodoro technique is something that my dad mentioned it to me about 2 or 3 years ago, but I never really got into it until this year when I did some research. So it's essentially when you focus on just whatever task, maybe it's homework, maybe it's studying. You focus on your work for 15 minutes to an hour maybe, and then you take a small amount of break, and then you just keep repeating that. So I had my AP exams, which are basically final exams for my courses a few weeks ago, and I was studying 6 to 8 hours a day. So this is the technique that I use that really allowed me to kind of stay focused, stay in it, and just really concentrate on my work.
Okay, let me deliver that to my students. 对，大家一定要跟大家说一下，郑颖真的推荐了一个我觉得非常棒的。其实之前应该有跟大家稍微提过，就是那个 Pomodoro Technique，就是番茄钟技巧。因为其实番茄钟是一个厨房里的东西，就是它本来是用来在厨房里面，比如说你要烤东西、煮东西啦，然后你要计时用的那个长得很像番茄的那个计时器。因为它那个 Pomodoro 在西班牙文里面的意思就是 tomato， 对。但是你把它用在读书上面的话，它实际上是一种技巧，就是你可以平均念大概15到45分钟的书，然后你可以休息大概5到15分钟。然后刚刚郑颖有说，其实特别是在他今年然后遇到要一天读6到8个小时的书，你很怕自己的专注力或者是集中力不足的时候，其实你反而用这种番茄钟读书法，你比较能够好好的念出你该有的效率。对 So that's definitely something that my students can try right now for the big test in 2 months. I like it. I mean, I personally first heard about the Pomodoro Technique was a couple of years ago. I was reading this book called Learning How to Learn. And then I read about it and I found it really, really perfect. I mean, for anybody who wants to study for anything, especially a really big test like your finals or my students' entrance exam. Yeah.
Actually, I kind of tied the Pomodoro method with my kind of what I call it is active recalling. So when I had school and practices, I had a lot of stuff to study for, but I didn't really have time at home. So what I would do was during school, when I would have maybe I have a study hall, so I have 45 minutes a day to myself. During that time, I would set a Pomodoro timer, and I would do one block of work. So I would do a little bit of math, but I would repeat it several times. So I would repeat it 4 to 7 times a day of that math topic. And then by the end, my brain just really memorized that topic. So
我觉得刚刚那个郑颖说的又是另外一个我觉得比较进阶版的，对，就是大家可以试试看，就是除了刚刚说的那个番茄钟读书法之外，然后郑颖说他会把它跟另外一个技巧做结合，就是 active recalling， 就是当你如果有一个很重要的，当你的时间有点紧迫，必须要记起来的东西的时候，你透过那个 Pomodoro Technique 去做一个周期一个周期的循环，去重复记忆。比如说你有个很重要的一个数学章节，或者是一个很重要的某个物理或者化学的观念，然后你透过那个同一个类型的题目不断的做，其实效果会加倍的。对 ，that's definitely one good way.
Yeah, so how I like to do it is just I think active recalling. I'm sorry, I think it's actually called space repetition.
Space
I used the wrong
repetition.
term.
Oh, space
Yes.
repetition. Okay.
So it's not called active recalling. Active
Space
recalling, I
repetition.
think, is when you're like speaking out about the topic, explaining. I think that's so space repetition is what I was actually talking about. I messed up. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll get that clear to my students. 他是刚刚这里的意思是说，它稍微有点混乱，但其实都好了。就是我觉得大家其实都可以学。比如说刚刚说的那个 active recalling， 比较像是大家如果在念完东西之后，比如说假设你念完了一段英文文章，或者是你念完了一段国文的文章，然后你能够 talk about it， 对，你可以好好的讲一讲你刚刚念了什么东西，里面有一些什么大纲，其实它就比较接近 active recalling， 因为 recall 是回想的意思，所以你要透过你自己讲出来，你就可以确定说你是真的有消化吸收的。然后那个刚刚郑颖说，其实他提到的那个比较偏理科的科学类的科目的那种同一个观念的重复运算，那个叫做 space repetition， 对，就是实际上你是透过那个重复的过程，然后去加强你的印象，然后跟你的吸收。对，Thank you for clearing it up.
Yeah.
But those are two really important concepts and ideas.
Yeah.
And then you talk about your sticky notes, right?
Yeah, so I can go into that.
Oh, okay, please.
So, for example, when I was studying 6 to 8 hours a day a few weeks ago, I would get this kind of stress where I don't know what to start with. There's so many things. So to kind of organize it, I would write each unit down on a sticky note, and I actually put it on my wall. So I would just see it. And then I would kind of say, oh, okay, let's start with this. And then just slowly check one off, one Pomodoro, check one off, do another Pomodoro, check one off, and then just slowly just work through them. And that really helped me kind of calm myself down and look at stuff just as smaller chunks again. So
especially when you seem to have endless materials to study, to digest. 对，因为我觉得郑颖说了一个很棒的，就是比如说像他前几个礼拜，因为他最近刚放暑假，对，然后可是他前几个礼拜在准备期末考的时候，他自己说，其实你会觉得好像有很多东西要念，然后感觉好像没有章法。可是郑颖刚刚说了一个我觉得很棒的技巧，就是你用那个便利贴，就是 sticky notes， 然后你把它贴在你的可能是墙上啦，或者是桌面上。然后你把所有你必须要念的东西一张一张的写上它的范围，然后贴在你的面前或者墙上，然后用 Pomodoro Technique 刚刚说的番茄钟的那个读书法，然后你每完成一项，你就可以把它 cross it out， 你就可以把它打叉，甚至可以把它拿下来。然后郑颖觉得用这种方式就变成真的是在实践刚刚说的，你有一个很大的目标，但是你是用小任务的方式去把它解决掉。对 ，So I think sticky notes are definitely worth using. I mean.When you do have a lot of things to study, like for my students, it's right now. And then you talk about something that I am not that familiar with, so maybe you need to go into details for that. It's called Google Taskboard.
Yeah. So Google Taskboard is a app. You can download it. I have it on my laptop and my phone. So it really you can make many columns and you track your tasks. So I kind of use it sometimes as like virtual sticky notes. So I can bring it with me wherever I go. So I use it as that. And also I list all my long-term important tasks to remind myself. And also my short-term. So if I have a weekly project due, I'll put that on there. But I also put my daily tasks on it. So some small homework assignments I don't want to forget about, I put all of them on there and I just kind of check them off. And at the end of the day, I feel pretty accomplished when I get all through all those. That's like, again, a sense of achievement.
Yeah.
That kind of
I think that's a very important factor. I mean, if you want to keep going, then to get a sense of achievement from time to time is definitely crucial. 要跟大家说的就是郑颖刚刚有说，他说他最后推荐的这个叫做 Google Task Board， 中文应该比较像是翻成 Google 的那种工作清单，就是你有长程的目标跟短程的目标，然后你可以把它列在一起，你就比较知道说你到底完成了多少，然后你离你的终极目标大概还有%多少。所以刚刚郑颖有说，这个比较接近那个刚刚说的 Sticky Notes， 就是刚刚说的便利贴的数位版，因为它可以放在手机的 App 里面，然后你可以随时拿出来查看。然后他觉得这样子，其实当你在完成一些小的每天的一些小任务的时候，其实会有成就感的。然后我觉得这个点子真的很不错，大家真的可以参考看看。然后we're actually coming to a very important part of today's live streaming. Because Zhengyin, you mentioned in your presentation about work-life balance. I was impressed. I mean, you're so young and you're aware of this really important thing in life.
Yeah, so it's something that I think me and all my peers here have discussed with each other. So I think there's only so much you can study before your mind just kind of wanders off. You just kind of hate school, you don't want to do it. So I think an important thing to do is just to take meaningful breaks. Kind of have that work hard, play hard mindset. When you have to get something done, you gotta do it, gotta get it done. But after you get it done, reward yourself. Maybe go to 7-Eleven, buy a nice cream or something. Go biking, go for a walk.
Yeah.
And just relax, but get back to it. And then just kind of give yourself that time to decompress. So yeah, something I would recommend is just giving yourself 20 minutes a day to 30 minutes a day of just your time. So you can read, you can listen to music, you can play games if you want. But just having a really hectic study schedule gets a bit overwhelming. I think it's important to just kind of give yourself that designated time every day. So that time is just for you. No one can take away from it. No subject can take away from it. And I think that will kind of you'll look forward to it in the day. So while you're studying, you're just like, oh, I don't really want to study right now. But you think, oh, I'll just get through the studying. I get my 30 minutes.
所以我觉得I think this is important. 就是要跟大家说的是，郑颖刚刚说了一个我觉得很棒的东西。不管是大家如果是非高三，就可能高一高二啦，然后你只是在准备期末考啦，或是一些比较重大的考试，或者是像现在正在准备7月底的被延期的指考的大家，当然你念书一定会有极限，就是人真的不是机器，你一定会有极限，你一定会有累的时候。所以我觉得刚刚郑颖有说那个 work-life balance， 就人生不可以只有读书，或者是以后人生不可以只有工作，你还是需要休闲的。可是郑颖这里用了一个我觉得很棒的字，叫做 meaningful break， 就是你的那个休息要给予它意义，因为你那个休息真的是为了让自己可以充电，然后再继续打拼。所以郑颖刚刚说，其实应该是在每天找到一个固定的时间，然后那个固定时间是专属于你的。然后不能够有人剥夺你的这个专属时间，然后你可能可以做一些静态的娱乐，或者是一些动态的娱乐。因为刚刚郑颖有说，如果问他的话，他会觉得台湾的 7-Eleven 真的很不错，比如说单单只是走去 7-Eleven 逛一下回来，他都觉得是一个 meaningful break， 就是真的是有休息到，然后你有整个人好像又重新充电过，所以我觉得刚刚说的这个很棒。而且刚刚郑颖有说，他其实也真的很相信 work hard play hard， 好，就是当你真的很认真读书的时候，你更是要很认真的去放松，然后去玩乐。而且郑颖 I remember that you talk about playing games, smartphone games or TV games or any games, and you see them as social activities. That's definitely a very interesting concept. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I think there's a stigma against kind of video games, playing small games on your phone. I think it's kind of generally parents are always like, why are you always playing? But I think it's definitely not good to overplay, but if you want to take a little bit out of your day, maybe like I said, 30 minutes to just kind of play, chat with your friends. Definitely during this time, during the pandemic, when you don't really get to see your friends,
Yeah.
having 30 minutes to just talk to your friends, relax, will really help you.
郑颖刚刚说的一个我觉得很棒的，因为刚刚郑颖说了一个字叫 stigma，stigma 比较偏在中文叫做污名化，就是我们会把某个东西给它不好的一些联想，比如说在台湾我们只要说到手机游戏啊，或者是电动，我们就会觉得它是不好的。可是郑颖刚刚有说，特别是在现在这样子，大家出不了门，老实说，如果你跟你的同学约着一起打个20-30分钟的电动，其实它就是一种 social activity， 它实际上是一个社交活动，就是让你有娱乐到，然后又有跟同学朋友互动到，所以他觉得当然过度的玩当然是不好，可是如果你能够适量的把它当做是一种你也有放松娱乐到，然后也有跟同学社交互动到，他觉得就是很棒的一种做法。对 I think it's a very correct concept, and that's definitely something that the parents can take into consideration. Yeah.
So I just want to add one more thing. So during this time period from when the students are right now kind of really studying very hard for their big exam in July. This is kind of a time period where they need to work very hard. So I would say for them to take breaks when you need to, but know that after you work very hard for this time period, there will be that light at the end of the tunnel. You'll feel very accomplished and proud for what the effort you put in over the last few months. So kind of just keep that in mind, I think is important to know one day your work will pay off. So it's not all for nothing.
我觉得郑颖刚刚讲了一个非常棒的譬喻，叫做 the light at the end of the tunnel， 就是你要想着说你现在其实是在走在黑暗的隧道里没有错，可是隧道的出口就在前方，而且前方是一片光明，所以那个真的是大家现在在苦哈哈的念着书的时候，一定要提醒自己的，就是其实这一切都会过去，然后你最后就是会有结束的那一天，然后之后你其实就是很值得去好好的放松啊 ，and you deserve all the recreation or relaxation that you want.
Yeah, and just this last stretch is kind of when a lot of people kind of give up and just say, "Oh, this is too much." But you've worked so hard the past few years of your life. No stretch. Once you get past that kind of bump, you'll feel very good.
We have an expression for that in Chinese， 是叫最后一里路。就是 the last stretch， 就是确实刚刚郑颖说的很好，其实只考的大家现在面对的确实是最后一里路。可是你要想说，你之前努力了这么久，然后就等最后这一里路，你怎么可以毁在最后这一里路？所以你一定要把这一里路走好走满，你就是要稳稳的走到终点，然后跟自己说真的辛苦了，然后我也值得去做一些什么，这样，然后犒赏自己。That's really good. I mean, it's a good mindset, especially for my students who are probably tormented by this whole preparation thing. That's definitely nice. I mean, I like it. And Zheng Ying, we're coming to the end of today's live streaming, and I want to give my students some preview for tomorrow's topic. Alright， 所以大家我们今天跟郑颖的聊天很愉快，但是又不知不觉来到了尾声，对。但是明天要跟大家预告一下，就是明天郑颖会跟大家讲的是他在美国的高中里面修的一些课，比如说有一些必修课、选修课，然后明天大家可以听听看，因为其实我觉得在美国的那种，比如说有的课会有分级制啊，比如说英文、数学、科学的课会有分级制，或者是他们其实有蛮大的必修课以外的选修课的选课自由这件事，或是郑颖会谈一谈他上过一些什么样有趣的课，我觉得都是很值得听的。So that would be for tomorrow. And 郑颖 thank you for today. Okay, I'll say goodbye for now. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.